I realized early on from working on commissions in particular, when I would do work for a paycheck, when I would do work for some sort of external motivation, my work was pretty rubbish. It wasn't really hitting those notes where I was able to hit when I was really inspired. And so fortunately, pretty early on, I recognized that the work that I did for myself that was really exploring something that was deep within, and nobody asked for this, and no one was expecting it either. That's a really important thing, because anticipation with your viewers or your audience can sometimes stifle that creative process. You know, you're thinking, oh, they're going to see this. What are people going to think? Oh, people are waiting on this, and then you start getting in their head, or you're allowing them to enter your headspace, and so now that external creeps in. You know, Joe Paquette and I were talking about this, and he talks about it, you know, the external versus the internal. And I'm right there on that philosophy. And this is one thing that we have to do as artists. And this is when it becomes a little bit of a trick, making it work from a business side of things. Because if you want one way to lose your authenticity, it's to get lost on that business side and try and expect a monetary return on things that are supposed to be felt, creative, sensitive, and you know, great art. The minute you inject that business side of things into this, now suddenly you're off on that external track again. So it's really balancing out that internal with the external. And the way I do it is basically I spend time in nature. I spend time with my subject. And I also spend time with those artists from the past, looking at their work, whether it's in galleries and museums or books or even online. And I just see, and I listen to those triggers of what's moving me. Because those moments where you're moved, that's the gift. Now, to me, it feels like a real God connection, you know, and being a Christian, like I really try to live, and I want to be, you know, a servant. And so what I'm doing is I'm thinking about those things continually. And when I feel like when we're on track, when we're online, we're given these gifts and a moment, and it can be something so subtle, like the moment when sunlight hits a mountain and it explodes with color, and suddenly you're like, whoa, pay attention to that. Whoa, pay attention to that thing just going far out. That's mind blowing. And so the thing I try to do is capture that moment, have a way of recording it in some way, and then recreate that and bring that back to life in the studio. Now, what actually ends up happening when we're on, when we're really tapped into that thing that's moving us on a deep level. For some people, they might call that like a deep emotional level. For me, it's a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. When it's moving you on that deep level, you can't even put it into words. And then you try and capture that. As soon as you create something based on that, now you have the opportunity, the gift of being able to share that with somebody else.